People in the boat were amazed. What amazed them most? What amazes us most, watching, listening to that gospel? Perhaps the abiding image for some is of Jesus walking across the water naturally. Perhaps for others, it is of Peter sinking in the water. I think another thing, though, that maybe is a bit shocking is just the fact that Peter stepped out of that boat in the first place. What possessed him to do that? Bearing in mind that all the other apostles in the boat didn't move. Only Peter stepped out. Maybe that in itself is a metaphor for discipleship. That what discipleship requires us to do is leave the security or safety of our lives and step out. Maybe the metaphor says to us that following Jesus is like almost impossible, like walking on water, except that in Jesus we have someone who makes it possible for us. And how does he make it possible? His first words in that gospel were, courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. Courage. Even though Peter wavered, even though he sank, he took that word. And for that moment, he was brave. He was courageous. Last week, as you know, I was away on holiday and doing a fair bit of cycling. And on my travels around Brittany, I used to occasionally to stop at a church to have a look inside. And there's one church in a little town called Broon. And outside the church, in front of it was a pedestal and a statue. As I was drinking, and I looked up at the statue and saw this image that you're going to see now. And you can't maybe see the face that clearly, but his face was grim, brutal. The mouth came down at the side, big shoulders. Obviously, he's kneeling down. If he was kneeling down to propose to you, I don't think you'd say yes. Because his reputation was, this was Bertrand de Guerlescun, was of a fierce, and in the French they described him as ugly man. His statue was there because he's a great hero of medieval France, remembered for his courage. He went into battle 6 times, he led 4 of the battles, and the 4 that he led, he won. He was brave. And this was his motto. I wrote it down. Courage gives what beauty refuses. He knew he wasn't beautiful. Courage gives what beauty refuses. And maybe what beauty gives, and looking at you, you'll know this because you've got it already. Beauty gives influence, maybe more opportunity for success, to be noticed, to win friends, to get promotion. Maybe it shouldn't do. But I think we know how influential beauty is. Bertrand never had that. But what he did have was courage. And courage won him great success and many friends. But sadly, for me, his courage was in war and brutality and killing. We're called to be courageous. You know, in that same church inside, there was a stained glass window of St. Lawrence. So on the inside, we had St. Lawrence, whose feast day is tomorrow, and on the outside we had Bertrand, both courageous men. But St. Lawrence's courage was shown in that he laid down his life for his faith. Jesus says to us, courage, be not afraid, because we're called upon to step outside the boat. And what do we need? Well, I wrote down some of the things that courage enables us to do. Jesus gives us courage to say yes and courage to say no. Courage to challenge injustice and the courage to be different. Courage to commit. Courage to live and to love. Courage to have children. Courage to serve. Courage to be yourself and to be like God. Courage to speak of God. To face hardship and to face loss. Courage gives us the ability to leave the boat and to do as Jesus commands. So we don't have to be beautiful, we don't have to be rich, we don't have to be physically strong or supremely talented or well-connected. To be successful, all we need is courage and faith.